And this is where Britain's top commentators speak out on controversial issues without the fear of the cancel culture sweeping the rest of the media. And before we get to Harry and Meghan's latest crisis across the pond, back at home, royal commentators and royal family insiders have been talking about a potential rift between working members of the monarchy. It's the Chelsea Flower Show this week, and the King, who, as we know, is a lover of all things nature, appeared alongside the Queen to present gardeners with a medal in memory of his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. But eyebrows were raised when the Princess of Wales also attended the Flower Show on the same day, overshadowing the King's visit and bringing back memories of his battle for press attention with the late Princess Diana. Well, few people know better the toll that Diana's fame had on her marriage with Prince Charles then. It's her rock and former butler Paul Burrell, who I'm delighted to say joins me live now. So, Paul, what do you make of this? Because at the end of the day, Kate did overshadow the King in terms of media coverage, but I don't feel that would have been a deliberate move on Kate's part. It's not like the battles that were going on when Harry and Meghan were here in the royal family and they were purposefully attending events just to steal attention away from the Cambridges.
No, Dan, I'm glad you asked me this question, and I'm very happy to speak out, because Kate has never put a foot wrong, and she has become an icon in her own right and has successfully slipped into those famous shoes of Princess Diana. She is doing an incredible job, and I don't think for a minute that the King would mind sharing some of the spotlight with his daughter-in-law, because after all, this is the future. And wouldn't we all want to see beautiful pictures of Kate rather than pictures of Charles and Camilla? So I'm one that says, good on you, Kate, and keep doing what you're doing, because on this side of the Atlantic, you are carrying the torch for the royal family. And without you, I don't know what would happen. You are really supporting all of this house of cards is resting on your shoulders.
Yeah, so actually it's quite a good thing in a way that there is all of this attention. Paul, you do have to admit, though, in the days of Diana and Charles, the marriage, the King really did struggle with the attention that Diana received. So are you sure that he's totally relaxed about this?
Well, you see, in the old days, there was a rivalry between Diana and Charles, and Charles was jealous of Diana's popularity. It's documented now. I saw it at first hand. He didn't like her being as popular as she was, because it was like a star is born. Her star rose and his fell. And he once said to her, I married you and made you royal. Without me, you'll be nobody. So I think there is an element of jealousy in the King, but I think he's also looking towards the future. I think he thinks, well, William and Kate are the best people for the job. They are following in my wake. I am not going to be king for a very long time. They are waiting to take over the reins. And I think he's looking towards the future. I really do.
I hope you're right.
And plus, they're taking the weight off his shoulders to some extent.
No, I hope you're right.
This is a tough job.
I hope you're right. All I would say is that the man who broke the story was Richard Eden, who is the diary editor of the Daily Mail, very credible journalist. He seemed to be speaking to sources within the royal households. But look, let's hope that Charles has moved on, because I think he does have to realise that William and Kate are going to become the stars, and that's a good thing for the monarchy.
Yes, their star is rising. But you know, the King does have quite a temper. And he does voice his opinion very readily in a circle. So perhaps some of that has leaked out, and his momentarily lapse has reached the ears of journalists. Because as you saw in the carriage, he had a few things to say at the coronation, things that were going wrong. When he signed his declaration,
and when his pen leaked,
things were not going right.
I know.
Yes, so
but you know, to be honest, I don't mind a monarch with a bit of a temper. I think it's important that things are right. But I just hope that he accepts that Kate is the star now and that we need her to be the star. But look, Paul, last week, Harry and Meghan, let's just be honest about it, they got found out for sensationalising what they claimed was a dangerous high-speed car chase involving a paparazzi in New York. Then, just days later, things turned from bad to worse for the Duke after he lost his latest High Court bid to use the UK police force as his own personal security team. Now,
Yes.
Paul, there's speculation that the pair's public humiliation could actually be impacting their marriage, with sources stateside claiming that Harry often sleeps alone at a local Montecito hotel, even when Meghan and the kids are at home. Now, Paul, look, there's a big debate about this because, of course, they insist the marriage is very strong. Camilla Tominay's story in the Daily Telegraph suggests maybe it's not, because why on earth would you need a hotel in Montecito when you've got a mansion with 16 bathrooms? You know Harry very well. Are you worried about him, Paul? Because he just seems to feel so lost and look so sad at the moment.
Yeah, I've always been worried about Harry. I've always worried about him. And am I the only person in the United Kingdom that is thinking, has Harry finally woken up to the truth? Has he finally seen the truth and what his wife is doing? That he's been brainwashed and that he's been mesmerized by her beauty or something? Because we all know that, but he doesn't seem to see it. I personally know Harry, and I think he's always wanted to be a father. He always wanted children. I think this element of splitting from his family right now is a little premature. I think he would want to stay in that driving seat to watch his children grow, because if he left this relationship now, he'd lose his children because she'd keep them in America and he wouldn't see them. But I have no doubt that when this happens, because we all know that it will happen, when it does happen, he will return to the United Kingdom. And I think his father, the King, and his brother, the Prince of Wales, will both greet him back into the country with open arms. I think there is an element of Harry we all love. We just don't understand why he's doing what he's doing at the moment.
Isn't one of the risks, though, Paul, and you see this all the time, when someone is impacted as a child by a very messy divorce from their parents, they often stay in an unhappy relationship for a very, very long time because they don't want to put their children through the same thing.
That's true. That was true on Diana herself, because she said to me, I don't want a broken marriage. I want to bring our children up in a secure marriage. And she battled for that all her days. She wanted to have a family unit to bring up her children because she too had suffered in a broken marriage. It does bring unhappiness to a child, a broken marriage, and that insecurity that Diana felt came from that situation because she always felt it was her fault. And Diana always said, it's my fault that Mummy left because I arrived on the scene. Of course it wasn't. It was nothing to do with the child. It was everything to do with the parent. So I think Harry, because of all of that and because of the history, I think he will try and stick with the program for as long as he can. And you will inevitably see cracks in this marriage because we know with great press and great criticism and world fame comes great pressure. And this couple will have great pressure on their shoulders.
Indeed.
I personally do not want to see Harry unhappy again. I've seen too many tears. I want to see him very happy. I want to see him and his family grow. But, you know, there's a niggling doubt in the back of my head, Dan, and I can't be alone in thinking that, surely.
No, you're definitely not alone in thinking that, Paul. It is a worry, and I especially worry about the fact that Meghan will be particularly conscious of the fact that she's now being viewed as a laughingstock and she might want to reinvent. And when she wants to reinvent, we know how brutal she can be. But look, Paul Burrell, brilliant to speak with you. We're speaking to you next week, so I cannot wait for that. But have a brilliant weekend, Paul Burrell, Diana's Rock.